What was the dumbest thing you ever did to try and impress a girl or guy? I was in New Zealand, was going to a beach party with some girls from the hostel I was staying at. To get to the party, you needed to take a $2 ferry across this inlet, which was about 1 kilometer wide. I decided to swim it, to impress the ladies. About halfway through I realized that I'm slowly being swept out to sea and I'm losing strength. I'm not sure how, but eventually I made it to the other shore, about 100 meters away from the pier. The ferry had docked about 2 to 3 minutes before me, and I just nonchalantly walked over to meet the girls, as if I hadn't swum against a current to near exhaustion and was swept out to sea. Good side, it worked and I ended up hooking up with one of the ladies. Bad side, the $2 was for a round trip, and I still had to pay $2 to get back once the party was over. I tried to do a backflip. I've never actually done a backflip before, not even on a trampoline. I actually would up just jumping backwards and hitting my head hella hard on the ground, and then I woke up and threw up a bunch. If she ever had a thing for me, which all my friends said she did, it was gone that day. I was about 12 years old and riding my bike home from high school when I saw a pack of pretty girls ahead of me, like 5 years older. This stretch of road meant I had to ride on the pavement, so I thought I'd be cool and overtake them by dropping down into the road and then jumping back up the curb once I passed them. Well, I almost died that day. My determination to impress the girls overtook the part of my brain that deals with logic, and I severely miscalculated the jump. I skidded against the curb and it bucked me out into the middle of the road into oncoming traffic. I scrambled to get back onto the pavement and my bike flew clean off the ground and I was propelled into a bush. Goal achieved. I overtook the girls and they did come over to help and called me cute when I started crying, so I took it as a win. Haven't been on a bike since, though. I was abroad in Dominican Republic. They had a dance competition on a stage. Anyone could enter and it had around 200 people watching. I was about 9 to 10-ish and spotted a cute girl who must have been around 14 to 15. So obviously I decided the best way to get her attention was to get up on stage and dance my heart out. Cue 3 minutes of awkward shuffling, while maintaining constant eye contact with that girl, and horrified queasy looks from my parents. The coordinator cut me off early by pretending the speaker stopped working. I got a pity clap. When I was a teen I took taekwondo classes and there were 2 beautiful girls around my age. They liked to go and have a smoke behind them all before class and I wanted to be cool and impress them, so I took up smoking too. It was about 2 weeks in when one girl came to class early, so I went and had a smoke with her. Then the next girl came in and wanted to have a smoke, so I went and had another one with her. When we came back we started doing our warm-up laps and I felt very queasy. I had to throw up, so ran outside, right next to the Dairy Queen. I threw up all over the glass wall where the cashiers and several people eating looked on in horror. I bought a hedgehog off someone to give to her, but her parents said no. I ended up keeping him and he was the sweetest boy. Lived for 7 years. On a 4th of July date after going out to dinner, I took her out on the lake in a canoe to watch the fireworks. It was awesome. Young macho me, of course, turned down her offer of help with a large canoe and I manhandled that thing like it was nothing. Put her in it while it was on the grass and continued manhandling it to show off just how strong I was. The next morning I had to call into work sick because my back muscles were so strained I couldn't get out of bed. My back was sore for over a week. In high school, a few hours after school was let out, I was talking to this guy I had a crush on when he mentioned he left his Spanish notebook in his locker and had a test the next day. Since it was a regional high school and he was far away and I was close, I offered to help him out. I walked a mile to the school, went to his locker, called him, got the combination, and read 10+ pages from the notebook to him while I sat on the hallway floor and he took notes. Getting up from the bleachers to play PE dodgeball, I tried to pull my sweatpants off while yelling "LETs do this." Ended up yanking off everything, boxers and all. I lied and said I had experience in journalism, because I didn't think we'd have anything except a brief encounter, when I'd actually only taken 1 class in college. Our first date he took me with to report on a local clash between police and citizens and I got tear-gassed and robbed. Tried to backflip from a 5M diving board. There was no flipping involved, just me falling on my back into a pool from 5M high. Sid didn't feel good, don't know which one was more bruised, my back or my ego. Ran into a busy road and picked up a hedgehog. Wasn't run over, but my hands stung for a week. Did a backflip from a tree about 5 feet up, landed it, but the ground was slippery, and I used my hands to catch me falling backwards, and broke my wrist. 10th grade me, you were facing moron. Tried to raise her scooter down the steepest hill around, crashed into the back of a funeral hearse and shattered the back window. There was a body inside and the family was outside waiting to either go to the cemetery or take the coffin inside. I got up, covered in blood and glass, grabbed my scooter and hobbled away to the nearest alleyway. Started smoking. Wanted to look cool and have an excuse to talk to her. It worked, but we only dated for a couple of months. Biggest mistake of my life. I made sure I was the one to return her jacket when she forgot it at school. When I gave it back to her the next morning, she blamed me for stealing it. We didn't end up together. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for my first platinum. For the people that were wondering, I did not steal the jacket. The guy I was seeing went on a vacation with his family for 2 weeks, and I had the key to his place to feed his cat. While he was gone, I painted his bathroom. He thought it was weird, but seemed mostly okay with it. But it worked. He married me in October. In elementary school, when I walked by this girl I liked, I would pretend to chew gum and crack my knuckles cause I thought I'd look cool. Jesus. Not really dumb, but kinda funny to look back on now. I wasn't good at sports, but I was fairly quick, so I joined the track team to impress a girl. Turns out the girl wasn't impressed by runners, but I did end up going to state in the 100m dash and placing second. Learned how to wrap crack a bottle by a minimum. When I showed him I could, he only knew the clean version and I knew the actual dirty version. When I was 15, I dropped a heavy book on my head. It was this old dictionary, a single volume that was easily 8 thick and probably weighed 15 pounds. I laid down on the floor, held it over my head with my arms fully extended, and dropped it 1.5 feet right onto my forehead. I guess I thought it would show how tough I was. I was not tough. It sorta worked because I dated her until freshman year of college, but that was likely in spite of my actions and not because of them. Take up smoking in high school. Didn't get the guy and it took 15 years for me to quit smoking. Haven't been a smoker for almost 7 years now. Quitting smoking was one of the hardest things I have done. I tried to jump through a swing. The plan was to go headfirst through, do a somersault on the other side, and look super cool. I smoked my face on the wooden seat. I've posted this before but still funny to me. Dating a gymnast in high school. We go to a park and I see parallel bars that are designed for stretching, but I'm convinced I can do a handstand on them because I'm awesome. She keeps insisting they are too far apart but I don't listen. Attempt said handstand. They were indeed too far apart, so I collapsed down, jamming my chest past my hands and strained tear all the ligaments holding my chest muscles to my breastbone. Good times were not had later or for a long while after. My first serious girlfriend is home alone and I think this might be the day I get off of second base. I'm all of 13, hormone-addled, and obviously confident this girl is the love of my life. It's midsummer and I know I can bike the 3-ish miles pretty quickly. I tell my parents I'm going to see my friend right around the block. They warn me that a thunderstorm is rolling in, and I tell them it takes no time to get there. 10 minutes later I'm only halfway there, terrified, crying, pedaling as hard as I can to go downhill against the wind. My all-metal framed BMX knockoff Huffy doing its best to not get hit with lightning and fuse me to its shiny silver exterior forever. 30+ minutes after that, I pull into a garage and thank God that all the rain has hid the fact I've been ugly sobbing the entire way. Her parents then pull in as I'm literally hunched over trying to catch my breath. I tell them this was the only house I knew on the street and it would have been life-threatening to bike the rest of the way home in this storm. They smile, probably knowing it was a lie, and treated me to a nice dinner. It ends with a very awkward drive home with her father, my bike in the back of his truck. I was alone in a park in front of my house. I was standing by the monkey bars just fooling around. I was around 10 at the time. I see a group of around 5 girls cycling towards me, all about 16 years old. Thinking I can impress them, I jump on the monkey bar, still looking at them to show off. Turns out, completely missed the bars, fell from a 6-foot wooden playground flat on the face. Teeth tore off my lip, crying and everything. They ran over, asked me where I lived and carried me home. They were really sweet about it, but it was pretty embarrassing for me. Embarrassing to admit, but the only time I truly tried to impress a girl was in primary school when I was about 10 or 11. I would swear when she was near and always gave the impression I didn't give a fuck. Backfired though, she just ended up thinking I had anger and behavioral issues. Drove from Virginia to New York to pick her up from an airport in NY, which was about an hour from where she went to school, but it worked, so that was okay. I actually got one. I was 14, totally fully in love with this girl from my class. We kind of flirted for a whole year but got nowhere. She was the kind of girl who likes attention, so you can imagine how she kept me hooked up knowing I had no chance. Since it was getting close to Valentine's Day, I decided I was going to impress her and make her mine by learning how to play guitar and all her favorite songs. A whole week practicing like a madman, and actually learned 2 songs I knew she loved. So fully prepared and convinced I'd hit jackpot, on the 14th I go to her house, call her out telling her I had a surprise. She pops her head out of the door, sees me and my guitar and nopes the fuck out of there, telling me to leave. Hey, at least I now know how to play a guitar.